Welcome into the RotoWire DFS show. We got a 4-game slate on Saturday, March 15th. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Ryan Belongia, fresh off some Champions League midweek action, followed by Europa League. But Ryan, we have a abnormal Manchester City slate where they're at home and they're a little harder to the trust than usual, is what we could say. I feel like Man City haven't been on these classic Saturday slates in a while, just because Champions League, that kind of thing. So a little bit of a different outlook going into this one.
Yeah, you're right. What they were on a showdown last week, I remember lost 1-0 at home to Forest. I did not play Cells or Forest players in those lineups, but yeah, I mean Brighton playing their best football of the season. I think really they kind of bounced back, getting healthier. We were talking before the pod, like it's tough for these books to know what to do with Man City in regards to just you don't know how they're going to play. They've been up and down. They were so good in the past. They've been so bad recently. Like, what do you do with their total and their win odds? It's open to interpretation. But at first glance, this slate looks. I kind of like this slate. Everton at home to Everton looked like a spot at home to West Ham. The highest clean sheet odds on the board there. West Ham have been a pretty good team to target. Forest against Ipswich, and then Wolverhampton against Southampton. And Southampton have been arguably the best spot in the league to target for goals. Ipswich, obviously, a good spot to target. West Ham too, and then City. So really, you can play players from all these games. I guess it'll be about evaluating which is the best spot. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe you can help us.
Maybe you can help us.
We'll try.
Yeah, Man City priced, I don't know if I want to say correctly, but priced at like the biggest favorite. So 11K for Holland. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago, we had Liverpool. We had Salah at 9.6K or something, home against Southampton. And now Holland, home against Brighton, is 11K. And that's just like, this isn't, I don't know, it's not the same situation as it used to be.
No, and the goal scoring odds, what, minus 120 or so, minus 115.
Yeah.
Like, really, you'd kind of want them to be higher for 11K.
Yeah, pretty tame. Yeah, the Manchester thing, I think, is a little tricky. You mentioned the thing about Brighton, but if you look through some of these Man City results, they haven't had a ton of home games, and you look at their home games. Their last home game was against Plymouth Argyle. Okay, they dominated that one. But before that, it was the Liverpool match, and then they beat Newcastle 4-0, and then they had one of the Real Madrid legs, and then they beat Club Brugge, and they had Chelsea. So they actually haven't, like, they had a couple losses, sure, Liverpool, Real Madrid, but they've actually been pretty good at the Etihad since more or less since the transfer window when they got Nico and Kushinov in there. So while Brighton are playing well, that's kind of why the odds are. I don't know. I feel like the overall sentiment around Manchester City is that they're really struggling. They're struggling to score, but then you throw in maybe they're obviously they're better at home, that kind of thing. Brighton are playing well. I don't know. It's kind of like one of these weird games where there's so many different factors to take into it, and odds makers are kind of like in this middle ground of implied goal total around 2, not too high, not too low, to where you're going to get a bunch of people taking overs on that kind of a thing. So it's kind of like this sweet spot where the sports books probably aren't going to, get killed on it either way. So I feel like that's kind of what we have looking in. But speaking of Manchester City, so starting with the situation, Marmoush didn't start last week. So there's a chance Marmoush doesn't start. And I guess that is the main question going into this. What do we do with Manchester City? If Marmoush starts, we probably play him in cash. He's 8,200. If he doesn't start, I know Foden is midfield only, but Foden is 9,600. So what is your read on this situation in terms of Marmoush starting and Marmoush not starting?
Yeah, I don't know, right? It was weird that he didn't start after, being rested against Plymouth in the cup before. That was unexpected. If he starts though for 8,200 and sets, I think you just have to click him in cash, like you said. I mean, there are other options. Like there are like quite a few good set piece taking options on this slate. 9.8K, Anthony Elenga, he looks pretty good too, right? Against Ipswich. And Jack Harrison, cover boy, we'll talk about down there at 6.2. There's other players too, so it's tough to really call him a lock. But yeah, for 8.2 and half the sets at least, I think I would click that for cash. If he doesn't start, like then, yeah, 9.6 Foden. I mean, Foden looks fine regardless. He might look a little better if Marmoush didn't start.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like if we're looking through the game logs, Marmoush hasn't gone. So he was dropped last week. He hasn't gone more than 80 minutes in a league game. Foden was subbed off early in that last one. So with all these guys healthy, De Bruyne always on the bench, probably an option to come on. Whether Savinho or Doku starts, Grealish always coming off the bench as well. Whoever coming off the bench, it feels like maybe we should look somewhere else.
You can fade. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it might be pretty good fades in tournaments. These, the city guys, they'll be, I would say, as popular as they always are, but with like a bigger chance to bust, right? Like you said, they got, I think all their attackers now are healthy. So all these guys have sub risks, except probably Holland.
Yeah.
So Holland might not be so bad in tournaments. I mean, people are Foden and Marmoush are going to be so popular. You can fade them, play a less popular Holland. At least that's how pretty sure the ownership's going to go.
Yeah, I feel like Doku is also a pretty good tournament option.
Definitely.
Sitting there at 9,400, kind of a little bit in no man's land here in terms of price, but he's actually he's going 90s. He's had a decent floor. He's just been, working on the wing.
Wow, 90 and 3 straight.
Yeah, I mean, he's been
4 straight starts with 90. Yeah, and he has. You're right. He has looked better. He's
some
found
workman-like performances.
Yeah,
I know it was talked about a lot, his numbers against TAA in that Liverpool match where he had like the most duels won or whatever the stat was.
Yeah, he was ridiculous in that match. He'll be up against Lamptey in this one. Can Lamptey cope? I'm not so sure. Maybe better than Trent, but
yeah, even you look at Doku's numbers with how much he's been on the ball. He's shown a floor of 10 points. So if you get a spot on the score sheet, throw in a 10-point floor and throw in maybe less than 10%. I feel like that's a pretty good tournament route there.
Contribution, he's going to crush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in terms of Longa, he's usually a guy who goes 90. The last couple he hasn't, but Arsenal Man City matchups a little different. You play those games a little differently. You get a lead against Man City, you sit back on it a little bit, but I wouldn't be too worried about Elonga's minutes. 9,800 Ipswich Town have turned into one of the worst defenses in terms of just allowing dumb opportunities every game. It seems like, but. Yeah, as you mentioned, Jack Harrison, 6,200. What do you think about just for cash games? Maybe we just ignore the Man City situation. We don't have to worry about it. Again, if you're, I guess most people on the American time zone, this slate is actually 11 a.m. Eastern now because the European time switch is on Sunday. So if you haven't been playing Champions League in the later slates, this is a 1 hour later for everyone over in the Americas. But yeah, Jack Harrison, Elanga. Jack Harrison I think it's maybe a split. Is it majority or split? Is he splitting with James Garner? Let's check in.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a split. It just depends what side it's on.
Yeah, either way,
even split.
4 straight 90s for Jack Harrison. He's playing 90s. Lindstrom is the one being subbed off and sending in crosses from open play, cheap. A West Ham side that basically starts 5-7 defensive players, not including goalie, with like maybe let's call it 8 defensive players.
Yeah.
With Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, and Soucek in the midfield. I actually like this spot a decent amount for Everton. Just they're back at Goodison. They only have so many matches at Goodison. I think the rest of the way they're going to come out firing in these Goodison matches, and this is like a perfect spot for them to come out firing if this West Ham lineup remains the same, because this is kind of what Graham Potter's been running out. But what do you think? Let's just ignore. We don't have to deal with whoever starts for Man City. We just begin with Harrison and Langa, 2 guys likely for 90 with set pieces. Plug them into our lineup.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable strategy. I think you can make a pretty good lineup playing no Man City. And I think that there's plenty of set piece takers in good spots at midfield and defense and forward that aren't Man City. But Harrison, like you said, yeah, I think he's a lock for cash. Moyes clearly likes him playing 90, and yeah, maybe even more than half the sets. I haven't looked into specifics, but besides the last game against Wolves, he'd been taking almost all of them.
Do you think it's like Sean Dyche is basically bald, and Jack Harrison has a good head of hair? So do you think it's like I'm not going to play Jack Harrison?
Some jealousy there.
Yeah, and then Moyes comes in. He doesn't have the same issues with being bald, so like it's like I'm going to play my hair brother.
Anything's possible.
Maybe a bit of a stretch, but so we have.
I was just trying to think. Everton don't have any like bald guys that Dyche was forcing in there though over him. Do they?
No, I guess Ndiaye has hair that doesn't hold up. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, once Ndiaye comes back, we'll see what that Jack Harrison playing time looks like, I guess. But he is not back yet, so we don't have to worry about that. So I think if you don't want to, if you don't want to go Harrison and want to go even further, do you think it's worth it to go with one of your guys, your Ipswich guys here, Philogin, 4,700, Hutchinson, 4,400? How do you feel about the floors of these guys home against Nottingham Forest?
Forest have been a fine team to target, right? They don't dominate possession. I think these guys are pretty good tournament plays. Yeah. There doesn't seem to be a need for them in cash because you can just play 5 set piece guys if you want to without going down to anyone on Ipswich. But yeah, for those prices, like a home matchup against Forest is fine. I think Ipswich will score.
You think Ipswich will score?
I mean, don't you? No,
maybe.
I don't know. Forest have been, I don't want to disrespect Forest. They just shut out City. They're fighting for Champions League. I mean, Forest look pretty good. So yeah, maybe not. But the prices on Ipswich, I think you can take a chance.
Yeah, I agree with that. Last time they played, not including the cup match, which I'll ignore here, but in November at Nottingham Forest, Ipswich had 55% possession in 7 corners, and now they're at home. So
could get a goal from that.
Yeah, I did feel like before the game last week, that Crystal Palace game, like Ipswich are basically getting it multiple good opportunities every game. Nottingham Forest, one of the best in the league at limiting good opportunities, so maybe that comes through here. But I mean, also of note, Enciso and Hutchinson were just back from their injuries last week. I don't even think Hutchinson started; he did not. So they're getting these guys back from injury. So I think that's also a big boost there. The Ipswich guys were popping up a little bit in the Roto AI projections, is what I'll say, just because they're so cheap and they're at home. And Nottingham Forest, our team that's going to dominate possession, like you said. Another guy popping up in those projections here, Ryan. Jorgen Strand Larsen is 3,900. He's going against Southampton, the worst defense. Is this?
I hadn't even seen that.
Is this one of the situations where he's plus 180 to score? We're tabbing this the Chris Wood situation of old here, where he has some of the best odds to score, sub 4K. How long did he go last week? He went 74. Yeah, so they had the Everton game last week. They're without Cunha again. So the situation, like Munetzi went 45. Then Vitor Pereira was like, okay, there's no attacking creativity in this side. So they put Sarabia in. We'll see if Sarabia gets a start here. That could be something that changes some things. But obviously against Southampton, you know, goals can happen. So 3,900. Do you think people are going to go there in cash games, or are you just going to stick with maybe a tournament round only?
Yeah, I guess maybe. Maybe. Matchup against Southampton is good. You just like you don't need it. Like, there's a lot of opportunity cost. You can just play 3 set piece forwards if you want to. But I guess, if you play Strand Larson, you can spend up everywhere else, spend up for 2 defenders, spend up for keeper. I mean, can't be too bad to play any of these guys against Southampton, right?
I'm getting ahead of myself here, but if you're in utility, would you rather play James Ward-Prowse for 4K or Strand Larson for 3.9K?
Oh, that's a very easy one, but there's tougher ones. I mean, the answer to that one is Strand Larson. The answer is never JWP, but a tougher one is like James Garner, 4,100. Even like João Gomez splitting sets for 39 is better than James Ward-Prowse. Well, I mean, if he is, I need to get some clarity on that, but I think he is. So, yeah, I can't do James Ward-Prowse. We'll talk about it at midfield.
Yeah, let's get to midfield here for cash purposes. Foden, 9,600. De Bruyne, probably not going to start, but who knows what Pep's going to do. He's 10.2K. Moving down the line, we have the usual West Ham guys who are unreliable at best. I don't even know if I want to say his name, but Kudus is 7,700. Perpetually lets us down in DFS. Ryan's shaking his head here. Let's see what.
Cost me so much money, Kudus this year. So much money.
Yeah. Was it just last week they had a good matchup and he kind of faltered a little bit?
Oh yeah, and then every week pretty much. I mean,
I think it was that Leicester game. I think that must have been a showdown. Subbed off early.
Yeah, that was. Yeah,
points.
And he had the best chance of the game too, like a tap in from a Cresswell cross from like 3 yards out that he just hit right at the keeper.
Yeah. Julio Enciso is 6,600 here. Went 75 minutes last week. He took 1 corner, still finished with 10 floor points. Are we locking Enciso in?
I was going to say the lobby loves Enciso for the most part. People love playing Enciso.
It's hard not to. I mean, he takes so many shots, and if he's going to at least take a split of corners.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with it. Home to Forest is a fine spot.
Look at his floor per 90. His floor per 90 is 16 points, more than 2 points better than De Bruyne and anyone else.
I mean, he must average the highest shots per 90. He just must. The guy gets the ball and he rips it. I mean, it's unreal. So yeah, 6,600. That's a pretty good price, I think, for this spot.
5.81.
Yeah, encouraging that he went 75 last time after the injury. Could go longer here. There's going to be other playable mids though. Starting at the top, Foden 96. He hasn't been great, but he's got a ceiling. Sets. Maybe Marmoush doesn't start. Definitely in the conversation. I don't think you'd consider anyone else up top. And Ciso, go ahead.
We got some good news this morning, I'll say, in terms of Southampton, but you can keep going through your list.
Yeah, is the good news that Smallbone is out?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Yeah, Smallbone had been just taking a monopoly of sets again, of course, taking them away from Manning and Fernandez. But this puts Fernandez back into play finally. Or not finally, but I mean, yeah, he hasn't had he's just completely out of play without sets. But home matchup against Wolves is pretty good. And a matchup where they don't have Cunha is pretty good. So I kind of like Southampton guys here. Maybe not for cash, but for tournaments. Fernandez, though, with sets would be playable in cash.
Yeah. What do you think about Sarabia if he starts? So he is 54. 5,700.
Man, that's a dangerous one.
Yeah,
I think
usual.
you'd need a goal involvement. I don't know. Well, you wouldn't. Like, I just worry about the minutes.
75 minutes, sets against Southampton.
Should get 10 floor, right? That should get you 10 floor. Like, yeah, he's fine. Good chance at a goal involvement.
Yeah, I feel like he came on, went 45 last week against Everton, had seven floor points in those 45 minutes. But without Cunha there, like he has to be the creative force, basically.
Yeah.
That's kind of why he came on. And if he starts, I feel like that's just going to be like their outlet guy, and he's going to be kind of
no. You're
everything.
Right. Like
So
do it all guy against Southampton for 5,700. Can't really argue with that.
Yeah, let's just say
there's just some risk there.
Let's just say 75. We'll say he's going 75 minutes, or even I don't know 65. We're pushing it, but if it was Cunha for 5,700 and we said he only goes for 65 minutes, would you want to play him against Southampton?
Well, yeah, but that's still way, way, way different. I mean, Cunha's scoring with like every shot these days, just like ripping from everywhere. I mean, this is completely different. But,
I know
I get your point. There's other good mids on the slate. There's other good mids on the slate though. That's it too. Like you're gonna have to play him over
Bernardo Silva
or Fernandez. How much is Bernardo?
He's 5K. I think he went up in price for some reason.
He did. I mean, he had 8 floor against Forest last time out. No one's going to play Bernardo here. I mean, yeah, there's just other set piece takers too, like James Garner down at 41. Just talked about the spot for Everton. That can't be too bad, right? Your guy Ward Prowse there.
My guy.
What do you think about Ward Prowse?
Rotowire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour trial using this cheat sheet up here, but also in our Discord, rotowire.com/chat, we have deemed he's no longer named James Ward-Prowse. He is now James Fraud Prowse. I believe Bear came up with that one. So he's a fraud, and he is James Fraud Prowse. JFP is what we call him.
Yeah, I mean, just look at he couldn't really if you can't do it against Leicester, and yeah, I don't know. There's just no upside there. The upside, I guess, would be an assist
10
from
corners.
A corner. Yeah, but they just don't get that. They're just not good, West Ham. I don't know. I haven't been impressed at all with this team under Potter.
Just super defensive.
Yeah, and he's not even guaranteed 90. I don't know. Like Paqueta's back in the fold now. They have other guy. Is he on pens? I don't think so, right? He's maybe he makes a direct free kick. We haven't seen a James Ward-Prowse free kick in a while, but you have to win free kicks and win penalties too for that stuff to happen. I
feel like maybe not. Okay, maybe I'm thinking someone else.
No, I don't think so. I feel like there's just options with more upside. I mean,
I thought he took
a safe cash play.
Yeah, I thought he took a free kick recently, but
I think he would. I mean, obviously, remember he used to make them like every other week for Southampton.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like 3,900 in like what should be a pretty good matchup against Everton. Maybe I'm just more down. I'm sure I'm more down on him than most. Obviously, he's a fine play, but not for me.
Yeah, and he's definitely not a tournament play. I
prefer João Gomez, and I don't think people will. I think João Gomez has been great this year every time I watch him. And if he's going to take a few sets, what a matchup for Wolves.
Yeah, I think he would if Sarabia didn't start.
Right. He'd split with Aitnery.
Yeah, I believe that would be the case. So
Bellegarde has taken a few in the past, but Gomez did the last time they played together.
Yeah, I mean, I played Gomez, I don't know, at least once this season, and he's shown a decent floor. Now he's against Southampton, so you can't if Sarabia isn't starting, like 3,900 isn't terrible. Figure he'll probably get some shots. And on the other side of that, there's I don't know if you went Sulemana last week, but I've gone Sulemana a few times. I thought he was going to get that Southampton goal. Turns out it was someone else.
I love Sulemana.
But
I love
he's
Sulemana.
3,700. Dibling's 3,600. These Southampton guys are just like staring at us right now.
Yeah,
It's like, pick us. And I was like, okay, we'll play you. Here's 2 points, and maybe we'll
right. I wish there was more of a need for them. I wish there was more of a need for them. Like, we have a lot of cheap set takers, so you're for sure going to need a goal, and then whoever you spend up for, you're going to need to do well too. Like, likely 1 or 2 from Man City. I mean, but yeah,
I think this
like
is a perfect
Sulemana here.
This is a perfect Sulemana spot because people are going to look at the game logs and be like, man, 1 shot, 2 games, but at Liverpool, at Chelsea, home against Brighton, even home against Brighton, he had a 6.7 floor. Before that was when he scored, had 5 shots against Bournemouth. This is home against Wolves without Cunha. Wolves have already been a little more defensive. He's been going 90s. It just feels like maybe this is the time. This is our time for Sulemana.
He's looked great. I mean, but great. I guess it's hard to say. Anyone in Southampton has looked great. I mean, when he gets the ball, the few times he gets it, he does something with it and creates stuff. But
which is more than most can say.
A matchup. I have to say it. A matchup against Semedo is one of the tougher matchups, but for a left winger. But Sulemana can win there.
He can win against everyone.
I had one more. Oh yeah, one more. On the other side, I think Bellegarde's fine for the big tournament too. Just guys that are going to be like 5%. Like you said, without Cunha, Bellegarde can be the creative force too. He hasn't really been a bust for Wolves, but like he's had some pretty good games when given the chance.
He's a Vitor Pereira guy too, so
I don't mind him.
Yeah, Pereira likes him a decent amount.
Just in the absence of Cunha, you're gonna need that, and like it's such a good matchup. So like Munetzi for the goal. I mean, he scored last week, right? But yeah, he scored from Bellegarde. I think they're both good tournament plays.
In terms of defender, I think this is like a perfect slate for just like all of your solid defender plays. No one stands out. I mean, Nico Williams is 6,400. I don't know if I want to get there. I know they're playing Ipswich, but Nico Williams isn't really a guy I want to spend up for. Maybe he was in the past and as a wingback kind of a thing, but 6,400. You'll probably have the money, but I'm not sure you need it. So if we look through the list here, Wan-Bissaka, 5,600 against Everton. Aït-Nouri split of sets, 5,400 against Southampton. Leif Davis has looked a little better lately. He's 5,200. Vardial's 5,100. Semedo, 4,900. Michaelenko, 4,800. I'd rather play Ola Aina over Nico Williams. He's 4,500. So you just go down the list. Ryan Manning, if he starts again, he's 4,200. There's all these guys who are, this guy seems pretty decent, pretty solid. Does that stand out for you?
Yeah, you can poke holes in all of them, right? I agree with you about Nico. That's overpriced. Estupinian is overpriced, even with sets, at Man City. Lamptey 2, Wan-Bissaka. So the first guys you'd consider are Aït-Nouri and Leif Davis. Similar options. I think most people like clicking Aït-Nouri. He's popular quite often, especially in spots like this. I just look at his game log and he almost never scores double-digit fantasy points. No matter, like he needs a goal involvement. He can get one here though, but it's like never really a smash spot for Aït-Nouri, even though you like think it should be sometimes. It's just never really is. Leif Davis, yeah, he's been better lately. Not a bad spot for Ipswich. I think he could give you 10, but Forest are good, like we've said.
On Ola Aina's side, is that?
I was gonna say on Ola Aina, who's been a revelation this season, and Elanga's side. That's a tough side to play on. So yeah, Ola Aina has been great for them, really defensively. There's a stat going around on Ola Aina. I forget it. Really impressive defensive numbers. But yeah, not really for DraftKings. Not really going to consider him for 4,500 here.
Scarles for 3,100.
Charles is 31.
Big Ollie.
Yeah, so I didn't play him last week because you just figure Emerson's going to play, but no, Emerson, I don't know. Scarles played 90.
Mm-hmm.
3,100, yeah, against Everton. That seems fine. Kyle Walker-Peters, 29. Seems okay. Rico Lewis, 29. Why not?
No one stands out. No locks here per se.
No, I mean, people have been playing Cresswell a little bit. If you get 90 in sets, he could
I don't think you're getting 90. I don't want that.
No, you're not if they go down, most likely. But, I don't know. He did. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I'm not
I think
gonna play
it's
him.
depending on who you look at for utility. Like you can go with a couple of these 5K guys, or you can go down to the ones you mentioned, Scarles,
Oh, what
KWP,
about Ryan Manning? Ryan Manning
or
for 42 without small bone?
mhm.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's still always a 45 possibility for me. But
Yeah, I know.
as with anyone on the Southampton team, maybe Wolves, you never know. But yeah, I mean, 4,200. He's one of these guys. You can either go 2 5K defenders for 10K or a couple of the cheap ones for 6K, and then you'll be able to spend 4K more at utility, or 2K, 4K, whatever
Yeah.
you decide. So it just depends on what you want to do at utility, what you want to do at goalkeeper.
You might be able to get away with some punts and not spending up. If you're probably going to want eight Nori or Davis, I think. But I don't know. They could both fail, right? I don't know. Like, do you feel that? Do you prefer one to the other?
Aitnery or Davis,
Yeah,
probably Aitnery, just because of the
and
matchup.
it's a good matchup. I think he'll be pretty popular. Makes sense without Cunha. I'm sure I'll play him. Sure, I'll play him. I don't know how much, but yeah, you feel like one of those defenders should do well. But I do think you could get away with a punt too for the second spot.
Yeah.
You could play them both too, though. We talked about cheap guys at every position. If you want to play both, you can play both.
Or
Just
you can play
fade a guy
both
from Man
punts.
City or fade Elanga. You could play two punts too, right? You can do either thing on this slate.
Mm-hmm.
I think pricing might be soft enough where you can spend up twice, though. Or I don't know what punt you play, Scarles and Walker Peters or something, or Scarles and Rico Lewis. Am I missing anybody? Your boy Ben Johnson, 2,900.
You could start.
Yeah, but no sets within CISO back.
Hey, play him. People will play him.
Yeah. Any center backs?
I don't know if I want just. I mean, sure, play center backs, but you have these cheap guys that.
Yep, I agree.
5 to 8 point floors.
Not really a center back slate. What about $2,600 Jake O'Brien? Is he a center back or a fullback?
Fullback.
Okay. I know that's what he's listed. I know that's where he starts at, but isn't he like a 6'6" center back that they bought from Lyon?
Yeah, he has a cross in 4 straight, so there you go.
Love that. Yeah, 2,600 against West Ham.
He also has hair, so maybe the Sean Dyche theory is coming around here. Ashley, remember? Ashley Young started over Jake O'Brien. Ashley Young doesn't have hair. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe you're onto something.
Yeah. All right. Ashley Young has a little bit of hair, but he just shaves it, so we'll never know the truth. For goalkeeper, Pickford has the best clean sheet odds, but he is 5K. Is he going to be the most popular goalkeeper?
Probably. Just because that's noticeable, like you said, the best clean sheet odds, like by a wide margin, and to be 5K when you have Ederson for 5.9, Sells for 5-4 on the road. Sa for 5-2 on the road. Then you get Pickford with the best. Yeah, I mean, probably shouldn't be cheaper than those 4 keepers. I guess the win odds aren't as good, but they're not much worse. So yeah, I think he'll be the most popular.
I think I like Ramsdale a lot here, going against
Me
the
too.
non-Cunha side.
Yep.
And in terms of Verbruggen here, I don't know. Man City just hasn't really been getting a lot of shots on target, so I don't know if I want to play into that if that's not happening.
The 1-0 win might be in play though, like it was for Sells last week.
Yeah, if you want to go.
Gotta give a shout out to Jack here. Shout out to Jack for this. Brighton's 10-game rolling XG is the best it's been all season, and so is their defense.
All right, he got that from the Transfer Flow newsletter.
It doesn't matter where he got it; he passed it on to us.
It showed up in my inbox as well. Areola against Everton, maybe you can benefit from that. I don't know.
Yeah, West Ham could win that game. Sure.
You could play any of these goalkeepers. It's one of these slates where anyone's in play. Maybe outside of Ederson.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone's in play.
Yeah, so not a massive talking point there. Oh, I just built my lineup and utility Foden fits perfectly. I don't really want to play Foden though, so we have to change some things.
Yeah, it's easy to fit him too. I made a lineup and he fit easily into a lineup I was looking at too, and it's just like, yeah, do you want to play him or not?
No, he's my last one in. Even remaining salary 0. I don't want him.
Part of what makes this slate tough. I don't really want him either. He is gonna, drop 25 again pretty soon, or 30 at one point though. I don't know if it's gonna be here, but
is he though?
It has. I mean, it's like back-to-back 30s in January at Brentford and at Ipswich, January 14th, January 19th.
We got to go back to January. There's been 15.
Hey, it's only 2 months. Then. It's only 2 months.
Ipswich.
I mean, isn't he the reigning Premier League Player of the Year though? So I mean, like you can play Foden.
Yeah, you can. Obviously more. I think more for tournaments. I don't know if I want him in cash, but those games were before Omar Marmoush was in the team. I will point that out.
Fair. Maybe Marmoush doesn't start here.
But then he comes on for Foden at 70.
Yeah. Take Foden off with his brace. Do a nice ovation. Bring on Marmoush.
Yeah, but the 10-game rolling average for Brighton. You don't want to go against that.
You're right.
All right, so we got through cash games. What's going to be the most popular route in tournaments? Do you think people are going to be glued to Nottingham Forest, or is it just going to be Man City?
I kind of think people are just going to play all the set piece takers we talked about, actually, because you can just afford them all. So I think non-set piece takers are not going to be very popular in tournaments. Outside of some forwards, like maybe, like Holland and Strand Larson, those guys will get played. And but like some of the midfielders we talked about, Southampton guys, Wolves guys, Ipswich's forwards that you talked about. I don't think people are really going to play non-set piece takers much on this slate.
So it should be easy to win tournaments. You just got to find the goals.
If you find some goals, yep. Didn't talk about any Everton guys, that didn't take sets, but like they're just not going to get played.
Yeah, I mean, Beto is the best option on this slate.
Yeah, like I haven't seen a slate in a while where it's pretty easy to just play set piece takers at everywhere if you want to.
I know he faltered last week, but Beto has 2 shots on target and 6 straight starts.
Yeah, he faltered. Yeah, but he's like been in good form and clearly like a confidence, player that needs some confidence. How much is he?
He's 7,500.
Yeah, no one's gonna play that, but
I'm playing him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, he's for sure gonna be less than.
I think. What are his odds to score?
For sure, less than 10%.
175. I might just bet on him to score as well. I think he's going to score here.
Yeah, I think
Chris Wood 8,600.
No one's really going to play that either. He'll be less than 10%.
Delap 4,300.
For the main GPP, right? The main GPP is another one of those 30K purse with 10K to first, so 1/3 up top. It's an awful structure. So, it's a good tournament to play. A 5% guy like that.
Yeah, I like doing a little maybe mini stack with Everton. I do think they're going to come out firing in this one. Do you think Brighton are going to score here? Would you go with a Minta or a Miedema, Pedro, Reuter off the counter kind of a thing?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk anyone off it, but I just
Not worth it.
I just don't play Bright. All right, I just don't play these spots like away to City.
I mean, Minta is 9,200. No one's going to be playing.
It's also that I like spots in all three of the other games.
Yeah,
that's more what it is. I like spots in all three of the other games.
Yeah, so I think you're just trying to say, like, if they're going to have 5 shots, I don't want to try and guess their goal.
Exactly
what it comes down to.
Like, who was it? Hudson, was it Hudson-Odoi for like last week who scored the winner?
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna, get Hudson-Odoi? By the way, no one's gonna play him. That I'd rather do that than Chris Wood. Hudson-Odoi has been great for Forest. Santos loves him. And 7,300 is not a bad price against Ipswich for like 5% guy.
Right in that Beto range there.
Yeah, he's scored some big goals, and he seems to always, like, Santos doesn't sub him when they still need a goal. He's like their most likely. We've seen it so many times, that cut in from the left and curl one in.
Yeah, this Ipswich game is just I don't know. They've been so inconsistent this season. It just feels like going into this, it's like it really seems difficult for them not to allow. No, it'd be surprising if they allowed less than 2 goals.
Yeah,
just because
they're just not so very bad. Good. Yeah,
but then they have these
very
games.
Good players.
Yeah, they have game against Aston Villa where I think they've taken points in both those games this season. You have random games like that. It's like, where did this come from? They actually show some energy here. I don't know if that's going to happen here, but it's always kind of in the back of my mind. But I don't know. This feels like a 3-goal game for Nottingham Forest. It just seems like they got the confidence. They're the better team.
Yeah, that's a good take for tournaments, because I don't think any of their players will be owned besides Elanga.
Yeah.
None of them.
Maybe just put together Wood and Beto and be like, I'm just going to get 4 goals here. Come at me.
Elanga's a tough one. Elanga's a tough one on this slate.
Beto, Harrison, Elanga, Wood. What goes wrong?
I mean, you're going to be unique.
I mean, a lot could go wrong there, but and then we're still even ignoring the Southampton-Wolverhampton match. So something could pop off here. Maybe you could plug in Fernandez and Rice. One of those guys. Got to have a Sulemana lineup. We'll see what that looks like. You got any more tournament takes? I got to fire off some college basketball bets here.
No, I don't. But yeah, I think if you're playing like Strand Larson in the flex, what is it, 3,900? Can't be too bad to play Sulemana in the flex for 37.
You play all these guys.
That's what I'm saying, though.
I like everyone on this slate outside of Hinchelwood.
He scored the winner recently, didn't he? In the FA Cup. I want to say
FA Cup.
No, just the fourth against Southampton. My bad.
Maybe a PK or something.
No, it was like off a set piece or something.
Okay. Yeah, play him. I mean, didn't even mention some of these. Elliot Anderson hasn't been the same without set pieces, and this defensive really hasn't been the same. Nico Dominguez is cheaper. If Forest are going to score 3 goals, one of these random guys can pop on the score sheet. I haven't even mentioned Morgan Gibbs-White. He'll be a little popular just because of his name, but the guy could pop up with a goal and assist in a spot like this. So there's plenty of
good form.
There's plenty of places to go. You don't have to look at Man City unless you're actually thinking, okay, Man City are going to dominate this game like they dominated Newcastle and they're going to win 4-0. But maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. I don't think either one of us are projecting it. So
what if maybe Big Paul starts?
John Paul Van Heck.
I'm just looking for everything. No, our boy Big Paul Onuachu. Yeah. I mean, he was left out for that Liverpool matchup. Maybe it didn't make sense at Pool, but you throw him back in there for this one.
Yeah, I got Archer in there. I don't know. I mean, this team is an absolute mess, and who knows who actually wants to play. Ivan Juric is trying to figure it out. Who
I'm
knows?
just looking for a
Yeah,
pivot off Strand Larson, you know? I'm
Sulemana.
not saying Strand Larson's a bad play.
Oh,
Maybe Strand Larson's the play.
well, Archer's the play then. You're just looking at
Yeah,
forward only.
sure. No, I don't know. I just don't love playing
What if Evan
Archer, but
Ferguson
sure.
starts for 4,100?
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not?
And you got Delop at 4,300. You got options. You got the
He's
Ipswich
just been
boys.
so bad.
Delop.
Oh, I've seen Gronbeck. People have Gronbeck starting for 3,200.
He could start.
That would be okay. I mean, over Archer, I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, he started last game, but he was
Not
pulled.
that I'd want to play him, but
He was pulled at 64 and didn't really do anything.
I mean, it's a tough spot, but it's a much different spot.
Yeah. I don't know. That's all I got. You got anything else?
Yeah. No, I don't see how we could really add more.
We cannot. Rotowire.com. Wait, what? What do you got?
No. Not going to add more.
Rotowire.com/soccer trial. 48-hour trial to get this cheat sheet. This cheat sheet, roughly 70 minutes. Wait, no. Yeah, 70 minutes before game time. This cheat sheet will have confirmed lineups in it. Rotowire.com/soccer trial. Also, we'll be talking in the Discord, rotowire.com/chat. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure to give a thumbs up on this video if you're still around after 47 minutes here. Also, we got a betting show on the RotoWire Soccer YouTube. Give a thumbs up to that video as well. Thank you, Ryan. Good luck on this slate. And, happy week off here. We got an international break. Sets up perfectly with March Madness. So if you're going to follow some college basketball stuff, we got that all going over on at RotoWire as well. Ryan, it's been fun, but we need this international break. So let's relax over the next week, and we'll see everyone in a little bit.
Sounds good. Thanks, Adam. Good luck, everybody.